Hello, my viewers, and welcome back to another crucial conversation about the system of oppression that affects all of us. Now, in this video, an Asian woman bravely breaks down the reality of palm color male patriarchy and its far-reaching consequences. Now, she explains how this system establishes palm color men as the status quo, justifying the denial of autonomy, rights, protections, and resources to others. The statistics are staggering. 30% of the US population holds over 60% of political power, dominating the legislative borders. Now, as she eloquently puts it, recognizing this system of oppression requires acknowledging their own complicity and taking responsibility for change. But many choose to remain willfully ignorant, claiming it's about skin color, not systemic injustice. Now, this mindset allows them to avoid accountability and maintain the benefits of the status quo. Let's listen to her powerful words and confront the uncomfortable truths about the system we live in. Here are her videos. I will be right back, and when I do, I share my 2 cents on this.
In simple terms, the system of oppression is white male patriarchy, which establishes that demographic as the status quo, and how it oppresses others is it treats all deviations from that status quo as a liability. In other words, a justification to deny others autonomy, rights, protections, and access to resources, resulting in a disproportionate allocation of power and resources to white men at the expense of others. For example, that demographic only makes up 30% of the United States population, but is over 60% of office holders, dominating the House and Senate and 42 state legislatures. By contrast, women make up 51% of the United States population, but only 31% of office holders, and people of the global majority make up 40% of the United States population, but only 13% of office holders. And the system of oppression is upheld through the myth of meritocracy and the myth of scarcity, which conditions people to believe that their status in society has been earned and cannot be shared. Now, obviously, within the demographic of white men, there are distinguishing factors that also create hierarchies. For example, a study from the University of Michigan showed that in STEM careers, white, heteronormative men without disabilities experience more social inclusion, professional respect, career opportunities, and have higher salaries than members of 31 other categories by race, gender, LGBTQ+ status, and disability status. And that these advantages could not be attributed to things like education level, skill, knowledge, job commitment, family responsibilities, or work effort. Now, you yourself provided an excellent example of how people who benefit from these systems often gaslight the people who are harmed by framing your willful ignorance as our lack of understanding. But as a bonus lesson, your unfamiliarity with and ability to ignore the harms and struggles that others experience but you do not is called privilege. Comment on a video in which I have been asked in bad faith, what is the system of oppression that I am talking about and how does it oppress people? I invite you to follow that comment back and read the entire thread. And notice how the commenter not only asked the question disingenuously with the intent of gaslighting anybody who attempted to answer, but also engaged in name-calling, casual racism, and ableism. And now ask yourself why you feel the need to tone police me for firmly addressing and not allowing that kind of behavior on my channel. Because oftentimes when we find ourselves defending a stranger, it's because we identify with the offense that the stranger has committed, and the response to that offense makes us feel uncomfortable. So you are placing it on me to give the kind of response that you would want to receive if you were in the commenter's shoes. Now, as a matter of fact, I answered the questions as though they had been asked in good faith for anybody who might want to actually learn the answers. And whether you admit it or not, you are aware that on some level I did so respectfully, because when I asked you what was disrespectful about my response, rather than answer, you went off on a different tangent about how historically faith has been a more dominant factor than race in conferring power. And while this did hold some truth, especially in the early Virginia colonies, where indentured Europeans and Africans alike were able to argue in court that they should be freed following their conversion to Christianity based on the idea that Christians should not own other Christians, going into the 1660s and 1670s, especially post Bacon's Rebellion, laws were passed that explicitly made race a superseding factor over faith when it comes to the status of enslavement, and that formed the foundation for white supremacy in the United States. So although we do have a problem with Christian nationalism in the United States, that is rooted in upholding racial inequity, not vice versa. Oh look, I caught another one blaming me because they are pissed off over their own inability to draw a distinction between white people and white supremacy. And I'm starting to understand why so many of you are committed to remaining willfully obtuse about this distinction. It's because as long as you can claim that it is about skin color, you don't have to do anything because you can't change your skin color. If you were to recognize that we are talking about a system of oppression that you are upholding with your actions, then you would have to change your actions, but you don't want to because you want to go on benefiting. So your choices are to play the victim and claim that it is about skin color, or play blind and pretend that you don't see the system of oppression that your actions are upholding because it benefits you. Now, as a matter of fact, I imagine that there are some people on the far reaches of the earth, like maybe in the Amazon or on a mountain in Nepal, who are blissfully unaware of your insufferable existence.
Now, just like we have heard, Amy Chen boldly exposes the entrenched systems of oppression that perpetuates inequality. She astutely diagnoses the root of the issue, palm color male patriarchy, which perpetuates a status quo that marginalizes and disenfranchises others. The stark statistics she presents are a sobering reminder of the disproportionate hold palm color men have on power and resources, despite comprising only 30% of the population. Now, this glaring disparity is a result of a system that prioritizes their interests over others, perpetuating a cycle of oppression. Her critique of those who refuse to acknowledge this system is equally poignant. By claiming it's merely about skin color, they absolve themselves of responsibility and avoid confronting the uncomfortable truth. This willful ignorance allows them to maintain their privilege and benefit from the status quo while others continue to suffer. Now, a palm color male patriarchy developed in England as the British Empire grew, expanding its colonial exploitation around the world. A rational explanation was required to explain how a small number of men deserved to control this enormous and growing wealth. Now, with Darwin's theory of evolution, survival of the fittest, Galton's studies of genius, rich and successful men were related to each other, and Spencer's insight that natural selection in human societies was nature's way of getting rid of bad stock and preserving the best, the theory took shape. The theory was imported to America, where it flourishes. Psychologists provided evidence to support this idea of the ruling class. Intelligence, mental disorders, crime, and the addictions all are due to bad genes and bad brains. Now, the defect model occupies the center of the stage. There is no need to act to remove injustice, sexism, racism, homophobia. The causes of distress are not social. They are internal personal defects. D will reduce the symptoms while the sage goes on for the internal defects. Now, in this article, the writer says about 2 decades ago, a then friend of mine, middle-aged palm color male, said to me, palm color men in this country are taking a beating. Fast forward 20 years, if he thought they were taking a beating then, they are now on the cusp of additionally being trounced upon. And that phrase has helped me understand Trumpism in America. The palm color patriarchal culture that has dominated our country for hundreds of years, since the landing of the Mayflower on our shores, is at the tipping age of a diverse nation being more dominant and profound than the palm color patriarchy that it consists of today. It is not about race, religion, gender, or gender preference. It is about all of it. Take a walk through Costco or the mall. Watch my programming news, commercials, movies, or series, and you'll see all races, all religions, persons excelling, successful, and romantic relationships shown thriving. A Trumper can claim they are not R to the cis because they have black friends. Having a black friend or hiring a woman in a hijab does not threaten what gives them security in a palm color patriarchal society. What is threatening is to be outnumbered by a diverse group that is living as well as, or a better lifestyle, living in affluent neighborhoods, driving more luxurious automobiles, having a higher net worth, and being as successful as our palm color patriarchs. I repeat, all groups who are not in the palm color patriarchy are succeeding and combined are about to outnumber their rich and poor palm color counterparts. Now, this is so threatening that all their actions can be related back to keeping the palm color patriarch culture intact. Removing the legal ruling of Roe v. Wade takes women back to the pre-70s era. We know if they are truly pro-life that they would be promoting health care, contraception, and education to women and men everywhere. That is what prevents pregnancy. The elimination of Roe v. Wade entraps women and girls in a cycle of poverty and hardship not easily escaped. And strangely enough, as it is overturned, it threatens new laws recently put in place. So much so that Biden recently signed executive orders giving them added protection. Now, the writer then says, Take the pew-pew control issue. Palm color people have no issue walking down the street with a pew-pew slung over their shoulder. Would a black man dare? By keeping war weapons legal, we keep black men and women in their place. This is so important to the palm color patriarchy. Unalive citizens, including children, are of no consequence. They are worth thoughts and prayers, but nothing more. Certainly not taking away their weapons of war. We have finally come to the end of the video. What are your thoughts on this video? Share your thoughts as well in the comment section. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.